From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, Mike Norvell's got us pulled back into the bandwagon for Florida State. He likes the intensity. We'll tell you why that is just so important. The panic button need not be hit as the Noles sweep Virginia Tech in baseball, and softball keeps rolling. Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Shake it and take it. Energy that lasts longer, everybody. Who needs 5? Again, why 5? 24 hours in the day. Most of us are up grinding for like 18 minimum of those. Get 7 hours or more of energy with VitaminEnergy.com. One little bottle, not even 2 ounces, Aslan. You would have figured that out after a year of doing this, but sometimes it's like, yeah, it's 2. No, it's not. It's like 1.93. 260 milligrams of all natural caffeine in one bottle. No sugar crash. Made in America as well, if that interests you at all, everybody. VitaminEnergy.com. Shake it and take it. Sip the juice. Gonna have to see if I've got enough, Corey, to maybe drop into the gift bags for the annual JCS golf tournament this coming week. I think I did it 2 years ago. Wasn't able to do it last year. I'll see if I got enough back stock at the Midtown offices to spread it out to the people. If you got something to donate, let me know. Maybe I can mix some of your stock in as well, big dog.
I do have some stuff to donate. I'll give it to you, buddy.
All right. Heck yeah. Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source. Join us. Hit the thumbs up, 5-star rating and review. Read all the awesome things going on over at Warchant.com, namely anything that's got Corey's byline on it. Without further ado, you've already heard from him for a few seconds. Let's listen to him for the next hour or so. Pontificate on all things Florida State and beyond. Corey Clark, everybody. What's up, Corey?
What's up, Aslan? You having a good weekend? Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, man. Out in Duval, hanging out with the lady. That was cool. Got to do a little double date with Mercedes Mike and his lady.
Yeah.
Helped her mom move some piece of furniture, went to some random stranger's house on Facebook Marketplace and bought something and loaded up a truck and did all the good boyfriend things. It's fun.
All right,
it's
man.
fun
You're
being
really
of
starting to
use.
come around. And did you let the mom sit in the shotgun?
Well, no. So she drove a truck. She drove the husband's truck. So we
Okay,
loaded the truck.
Driving mom. I like it.
Yeah. So yeah, man. Your boy's all grown up finally.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
All
and you
grown
didn't even
up.
get to watch any Florida State baseball. I don't know if you watched the Masters. But that was outrageous.
Did Corey? It's not
2
Corey.
hours.
Did Rory choke?
Well, he sort of, but then he came back and won it.
Okay,
so
good for
it's
him.
hard to say he choked
Right.
when he won it, but it was outrageous. Like he had a 5-shot lead, and then in 30 minutes he was trailing, and then he hit some unbelievable shots to take the lead again. Then he just needed par, and the golfers on CBS are already anointing him, going on the 18th hole. Trevor Ibbleman's like, he's already got one arm in the green jacket, and Jim Nantz starts telling a story about his parents and how they raised him, and then he shanks the approach shot into the bunker. Can't get up and down because he misses a 4-footer, because of course he does. He's Rory, and he has to go to a playoff, and then the exact same hole he just screwed up, and then he makes the shot of his life to get to within 3 feet against Justin Rose and holes out or makes the putt and wins the tournament. And then it's kind of cool, man. It reminded me of when Steph Curry kind of started sobbing uncontrollably when he won his 4th NBA title because he did it without Durant. You remember that? It was against the Celtics.
When they beat the Celtics, yeah. I thought everyone thought they were washed up and done, yeah.
Well, and also like, you've never won it. You've never, other than the 1 year, you've never won it without Durant. You've never taken a team by yourself.
He wasn't the Finals MVPs those years,
right?
Durant,
yeah, and it's like, man, Steph Curry is one of the best players who's ever breathed air. And he had that much pressure on himself to go do when he'd already won 3 titles. It's not like that was his first; that was his 4th, and he still broke down because of what it meant to him and his legacy and all the outside noise he'd heard. And then McIlroy. I mean, McIlroy's one of the 15 greatest golfers of all time, but he never won the Masters. He never won the career Grand Slam. And then to see his reaction, just falling to his knees and like shoulder heaving, sobbing. And then just going crazy. It's like, man, it's really incredible how much pressure these unbelievable athletes put on themselves, even when they've accomplished so much. I don't know how much of it is outside noise, like, he's a choker, he's never won the Masters, he'd been trying to complete the career Grand Slam for a decade and hadn't done it. But it is, and then you feel so much joy for them. I've never felt more joy for a multimillionaire winning more millions of dollars than I did on Sunday, because it's so raw and emotional how excited and happy he was, and the relief. So anyway, I think we can all relate to those moments in our own ways, not sporting necessarily, but I don't know, getting a raise, seeing a child do something well, having children, all these things, are getting married, falling in love, like all these things that maybe didn't think were going to happen, and they finally do happen. We can all relate to it, just the pure emotion of a guy that has everything he could ever want. He's already won millions of dollars. He's already going to be in the Golf Hall of Fame. And then for him to react in that moment for another tournament title in his 40s, I think he's in his 40s, close to it anyway, is just really cool. It's really cool. It's a really unique viewing experience. Now on to Florida State.
My gosh, Corey Clark with more depth than Lake Bacall on a Monday, everybody. Get some.
Sure, that's right.
Holy cow, Rory's only 35?
Oh, is that true? Oh, man. And there's the thing.
I thought he was like...
I did too. I thought he was in his...
long. Well, he was like a phenom.
I guess he was
20s.
a phenom.
Yeah.
And I wonder, this might just unleash the Kraken. Like he gets this off his shoulders, and he knows he came... Because he started with a double bogey, Aslan. He had 4 double bogeys in the Masters through 4 days and won it. That's never happened. But he kept falling apart and then responding. And the fact that he went and won that playoff in the exact same hole he had just fouled up 10 minutes before might just unleash something in him where he might go win the Grand Slam this year. I mean, good night. He's out of his own head now. He knows he can do it. And as we talk about a lot on this show, so much of sports is mindset and confidence, and he should have a lot of that now.
Well, hey, speaking of mindset and confidence, when we spoke to Mike Norvell after Tuesday's practice, he was not very excited about the level of intensity and effort from his defense, at least in the beginning part of the practice. Thought things got a little bit better towards the end of it, but he assured everybody that they had been challenged and held accountable and they would be better the next day. Then on Thursday, he was pleased as punch, it seemed, about how great his team had responded. And then on Friday, they went back-to-back days to give themselves a little bit of a break, if you will, here before they get into this final week of spring football. And he was over the moon. And I'm being sincere, and maybe those were a little too dramatic of phrases and idioms and such. But man, from what he went from Tuesday, and you spent all day Wednesday, and I'm like, yeah, maybe, hey, people tell you who they are, believe them. And maybe he's setting us up for the fact that maybe this is just a 7-9 win team, and that's all they're going to be. But then he's so excited about the way they performed on Thursday. Great exchange with you and him. I think the last question of the day about, you can obviously sum up what he told you, but then on Friday to build on top of that, he mentioned, he's like, listen, I'm happy right now, but this sets up for a very important day tomorrow, and we'll see how they respond. And then the first thing I think he said Friday was just like, if you ask, you shall receive. And he was really excited about the way they responded. So obviously long way to go until August 31st or August 30th to play Alabama. But man, you sure like to hear them peaking, if you will, when it comes to a spring football season at this point, in the way that they've responded to Mike's demands.
Yeah, I mean, I like how happy and excited he was. Again, we qualify everything on this show and in life. We're not saying they're going to win 10 games now. You could all make fun of them 5 months from now if they lose to Alabama. But, I think that him being that excited about what he saw, it's twofold, man. Like, again, it was part of the column I wrote. It's what we talked about after I guess we didn't talk after Thursday. I just wrote the column about it. Or maybe we did. I can't remember. I can't remember our shows anymore.
No, we didn't. We recorded really early on Thursday. So
that's right.
Yeah.
So his reaction to that question, because so much of what he talked about was about just the way the physical nature of it, the way their intent. How hard they practice, but how it's hard, just the intensity of it. And I asked them that. It's like, it sounds like that was something you were worried about coaching almost more than offense and defense with this team. Looking back on last year, offense, defense, that's fine, but it's got to be a different mindset completely with this team. And he's like, whatever he said. I think he said, "You're damn right" or something. I don't know exactly how to phrase the question.
Hell yeah.
Hell yes. That's yes.
That's right, yeah. Hell yeah. It's like, is that what you're trying to instill in them, is a toughness and a mindset? And he said, hell yeah, and basically said, like, we got to be Florida State. And we all know what that means. The kids on this roster probably don't know what that means. They were not around for the dynasty. Mike Norvell was in high school for most of it, or elementary school for a lot of it. A lot of people listening to this show were younger to not remember the dynasty. But if you go watch old dynasty games, there was a ferocity that defense played with. And I'm speaking mostly about defense. Also,
shout out Mickey Andrews was there this past weekend, or past week talking to the team, so maybe Mickey had something to do with it.
And then also the offense would push people out of the way with violence and not politely. I was watching, because I do this a lot now for some reason, I was watching like a 98. No, it was a 2002 Florida State game. It wasn't even that good a team. It wasn't a good team. They really underachieved. But their offensive line with Alex Barron, Ray Willis, I can't remember some of the other, maybe Montre
David
Holland.
Castillo, my boy Matt Meinrod, R.I.P.
They had Chris Ricks throwing ridiculous interceptions in this game against Virginia. I think it was the second game of the season. And they were still running for like 400 yards. They just pushed people. Virginia had no answers. They could not do anything to stop Nick Maddox, Greg Jones. Thomas Clayton came in the game.
Hollywood
Clayton. Ricks was running around. Like, just watching that game and thinking, yeah, that's what a physical offensive line looks like. And not only that, there were a couple plays where Greg Jones is like, it's taken 5 guys to bring him down. He's bowling over folks. And then you see a lineman come in from off the picture and try to knock people down. Like an offensive lineman. Like, that's the stuff, man. Just a physicality and a toughness that was so devoid last year, was just missing completely. That's what I think a lot of people want to see, and that's not as that maybe it is more important than what they do schematically, offensively, defensively. And I think that's what he was challenging them with. And I think this year Mike Norvell is much more apt to let us know he's not happy. Last year, coming off the snub, this time of year I'm talking about the spring, coming off the snub, he wanted all the Florida State fans to feel happy with what they had, not happy as if be content, but like, hey, we're going to be good again. I'm not going to talk bad about this team. They're still really good. I want to build them up. That ain't the play now. Like in September and October last year, was trying to build him up with confidence. No. If he sees something that he doesn't like, he makes no bones about telling us. Now, he doesn't do it in a Jimbo or Saban way. He's still going to be Norvell about it. But you can tell, oh, yeah, he's really upset with what he saw. Or, conversely, after Thursday's practice, Friday's, that's exactly what he wanted to see. So maybe it bodes well for just the personality of the team, if nothing else.
The second thing that I thought was encouraging about his comments from Thursday and Friday, as we kind of bundled them both up, and I think it might have been mostly Friday, but he's told us as much, and I mean, I think Gus has hinted at it, and you guys, really, you couldn't explicitly tell us, but when you and Jeff and Ira were at the scrimmage, the offensive line is obviously banged up to a large degree, but I think he said that even Gunnar Hansen, who we were told was going to miss spring, he was out there getting some reps. Sounds like Micah Pettis was back out there, so I guess that means that at some point he was not made available. Jalen Early's a guy that they were not anticipating having ready for the spring, so he was also ready. Maybe that had to do a little bit with, a lot of the onus was on the defense, but maybe just having those guys out there for the offense brought the best out in those guys. It's like the whole Doc Rivers corollary. Doc Rivers always said he'd rather play teams, at least during the regular season, at full strength, because if LeBron was out or, Steph Curry was out, you would take it easy as the opposing team. But maybe just having all those dependable guys on the offensive line ready to go brought the best out of the defense. But again, to hear the offensive line might have some of these guys returning and coming back is also a really good thing, because it's all going to start with them getting this offense jump-started.
Well, and you just want them to get reps in with the offense and with the guys they're going to be playing with. It's April. It's not absolutely imperative. You want them to be more healthy. You want them to be healthy more than anything, but they do need to get some reps. The more reps you get, the more thousands of hours you put in. That's an overstatement, but when you get your 10,000 hours, you've mastered it. They need to get as close as they can. They're going to fall woefully short of 10,000 hours. Everybody, the NCAA would not allow it. They would not allow you to practice for 10,000 hours. But they need to. I don't know how many of those guys have practiced with Castellanos, or the running backs, or each other. And there's no unit quite like the offensive line, and they do all need to be on the same page, and they need to work harmoniously, and that's something that you'd like to get at least a week of, if they come back. But, by and large, you by the middle of August, late August especially, you want these guys to have had hundreds upon hundreds of reps together. Know how each other thinks, how they move, where they're going to be, how they communicate. They need all that practice. And even if it's just for a week in April, it's a big deal.
Any other things that stood out to you? I know we also got to speak to Kevin Sperry. That kid's cool as the other side of the pillow. Shout out to our guy, Stuart Scott, RIP as well.
Yeah.
Just his level of confidence. I've not seen him throw a football. I've not seen him run a singular football play at the collegiate level. I haven't even watched his huddle tape, everybody. But just to hear how comfortable he was speaking to us makes me think that he's probably pretty comfortable being out there in that offense. And even admitted, listen, there's nothing simple about an offense in college, even a Gus Malzahn offense. So it seems that he's really leaned into coming in here and hitting the ground running. And who knows where he's on the depth chart, but that kid definitely did not come here just to hold a clipboard for very long.
No, not at all. You're absolutely right. He's he is poised beyond his years. Does that mean he's going to be awesome? No, I had no idea. I was saying the same thing about Brock Glenn, and I don't disagree with that assessment. Brock Glenn, when he came in, he was still supposed to be a senior in high school. He was not overwhelmed. Kevin Sperry is not overwhelmed. Brock Glenn was overwhelmed when he got thrown into the action, but those were crazy circumstances. When he was a true freshman, and then obviously last year with the worst offense in the country, it wasn't ideal. Kevin Sperry theoretically should be playing with better people, and he is playing with better people right now. But also, I think that there's some guys you just kind of you get a sense that they're not at all surprised by what they're doing, and sometimes that's bad, sometimes that's good. Again, I keep comparing him to Brock because I'm going from Rodemaker, who came in, obviously kind of, to me, looked kind of more of a deer in the headlights kind of guy early, then got comfortable. Brock Glenn, A.J. Duffy, to me, never looked comfortable, never looked like a Division I quarterback, didn't act like it in practice. I mean, as far as the way he practiced. Brock Glenn was ahead of those two guys when he came in, but you saw that didn't translate necessarily to great success. Kevin Sperry, I know this is not a high bar to clear, is more ready than Brock Glenn was, right? You wouldn't know. You didn't see him. I think that
I don't think we ever heard Mike or Tokars or Alex Atkins say anything with the level of conviction that Gus Malzahn has said about Sperry. And again, listen, it's words I know, but Corey, obviously I'll stop talking because you've seen him play, but just the way a guy like Gus Malzahn doesn't feel like a guy that wants to go out of his way to gas guys up, especially true freshmen. But just how impressed he was with the way that he can kind of absorb the information but also put into play makes you realize that this is much a different situation than when we were looking at Brock and squinting as hard as we possibly could in 23, being like, well, maybe it'll be okay, maybe.
I mean, the thing with Brock is that he comes into that Florida game after Rodemaker gets the concussion. It's a pretty important game. Actually, no, it wasn't. It didn't matter in the scheme of things, but at the time, it was very important, and he's checking to a pass play. When they're nursing a lead late in the game in the fourth quarter and he's just been inserted into the game, he looks at a defense and checks into a pass game. Now, it was almost intercepted, but I like the moxie to try to do that. It's the execution that we're still waiting on with Brock. Brock thinks he's good, and Brock has a gunslinger, mojo about him. It just has not translated to anything worthy of praise since we've seen him in actual football games. Kevin Sperry, I feel like, is not – it's hard to say what he is as a passer and from my vantage point because in that game they were so many just basically screen passes and short passes. Not a lot of opportunities to read the field, to go to second and third options, not to throw the ball downfield at all. And again, I think that wasn't because they were handcuffing him and didn't want him to make a mistake. It's because there weren't many good receivers to throw to. There weren't many scholarship receivers available. So the thing I came away most impressed there was his running. And at the very least, he has a skill, Kevin Sperry, and we talked to him about it. He was talked to about it when he was interviewed about the athleticism because it's not normal, even in this day and age where most teams have mobile quarterbacks. This is a different level of mobility in the sense that he's not going to win the 100 meters. He's not a 100-meter champ. He didn't run a 9.9 in the Texas track meet, but his ability to make people miss, his ability with the wiggle and the lean, getting leverage on people, setting up tacklers, you could see all that in 10 plays, Aslan. Just you see some natural running ability that I didn't know was there, and that's always going to play as long as he stays healthy. But that kid, and the belief he has in himself, that's box one to check. There's plenty of boxes left to check. The biggest, most important box to check is belief in yourself, self-belief. He's checked that. And so now we move on. I don't know if he'll play at all this year. I would be surprised if he certainly, I wouldn't expect him to win the starting job. He might play with an injury or two. But if he believes in himself as much as he appears to go along with the ability we keep hearing about, well, that's a nice combination. That's a good recipe. That's the recipe all the great ones have. He's nowhere close to great yet, but the building blocks are there. That's all.
Other huge news in the quarterback world. Trever Jackson, fan favorite. Elite 11 standout. Jones High School, Orlando standout. Had fallen to what we think was probably fourth string here at Florida State of late. The videos that I was able to see, you were obviously at that scrimmage, but he was not in a green jersey, which is usually reserved for the scholarship quarterbacks. Announced his intentions to enter the transfer portal. So that puts the rest a burning question for a lot of people. And it always happened, man. Listen, whenever I remember Matt Corral, some JUCO guy that might have been committed to UCLA, or maybe actually went to UCLA and was transferring, and it was this whole thing like, can we get him on campus, and what can Florida State be? It just, especially when you're starved for something at quarterback, you kind of grasp for straws, and it felt like a lot of people were hoping that Trever Jackson's profile would fit into this Gus Malzahn offense. Apparently did not. So,
well, you can't. I mean, look, whatever. It wasn't going to fit anymore. It wasn't going to fit any better than Castellanos, right? Like, he's a good athlete, Trever Jackson, maybe a very good athlete. He's not a Castellanos athlete. In fact, I'm not sure he's a Kevin Sperry athlete. So that's what, there's got to be a loss somewhere. You're not going to keep four really good quarterbacks. Not that any of them have proven to be really good yet. You're not going to keep four Division I-esque quarterbacks on your roster in 2025. It's not going to happen. I hope he goes and has a landing spot and plays well. But, on this one, look, Mike Norvell doesn't deserve the benefit of the doubt when it comes to gauging quarterbacks and their fit into his offense. Not after what we've seen with the quarterback recruiting since he's been here. Gus Malzahn does. So this is a Gus decision, right? Like if Gus thought that Trever Jackson was the answer or a possible answer, Trever Jackson's not in the portal.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
He is in the portal, so that tells you what Gus thought of him for his offense. Now, Gus could be wrong, but Gus has a pretty good track record when it comes to good fits at quarterback for his system.
Also in the portal with Trever Jackson is going to be Nico Iamaleava, who's the Tennessee
quarterback.
quarterback.
Aslan. Is that really how you pronounce it?
Close enough.
Okay,
Close
good.
enough. My Samoan folks will let me slide. I let them slide on their Persian pronunciations. We had a whole summit over this, so we're all good about it. We're going to probably not too long of a show. We still got to talk about baseball and softball, but this was such a huge story, and it touches every tentacle of this sport right now. And some Florida Gator fan, I think, tweeted this, and it ended up being retweeted on my timeline. But the absolute poster boy for where this sport is at right now in terms of, and this is if you're a guy like me that's has not embraced the fact that a lot of these kids are getting seven-figure paydays, which we were believed that Iamaleava was making between $2 and maybe $2.5 million, and apparently wanted in excess of $4 million. Tennessee said they were not going to blink. He missed one of the days. I think he missed Friday's practice, and then Tennessee did not blink. Apparently, Nico and his team did blink, and he's entered the transfer portal. But again, this is a kid that was adequate, slightly above average last year for a really good Tennessee football team, and whatever he thinks he deserves more, he asked for it. Shout out to Tennessee for standing up. But you've got a system here where these kids are already being handsomely compensated before we even. And listen, I'm sorry, everybody. Getting your books, getting your housing, getting your schooling paid for, getting free food, getting all the free Nike gear you want. To me, I'm sorry, that's worth something. And you play at a place like Tennessee and you win a bunch of football games there, you'll be able to probably find a job in a number of states in this country that have alumni that are successful because you played football there. That is worth something. On top of that, you're also now getting seven figures, but that was not enough. Meanwhile, how many fans are getting priced out of seats at their stadiums across the country to help fund all this craziness? So screw Tennessee for the 1998 national championship game and all the times they choke against the Gators, but thank you for taking a stand. We'll see if this leads to other schools bowing up, because I can't imagine this is the last time we're going to see somebody try to play hardball, Corey.
Oh no, of course not. I think this is just the beginning. Somebody was going to do it. Somebody was going to be the first to do it. What I like is that it was blasted right away. It was blasted out. Like Tennessee's like, okay, you're going to do this. We're going to let everybody know what you're doing. We're not going to protect you, poor little kid. You're 21-year-old millionaire. We're not going to protect your feelings. We're going to let everybody else in the world, college football loving world anyway, people across the ocean probably don't care much about Tennessee football, but this is who you are. This is what you're doing. So the problem is, it's just this is the system. I like it's you're worth what somebody's willing to pay you. Is somebody willing to pay him $4 million? Like, I would love it if he just dangles in the wind. It ends up at Tulane for $250,000. That would be wonderful. Do we think that's going to happen?
There's going to be a desperate coach out there, but again, Corey, I don't think he's not. I don't want to say Carson Beck, because Carson Beck we think got $4 million to go to Miami. There's going to be a desperate school out there, but I don't think you can't pay that kid $4 million. There's no way. Like, the only school that would have that kind of money would be Texas, and Texas is set at quarterback.
Yeah, or maybe like USC, UCLA, somebody like that. Like, you could, there are schools that can find the money. It's just a matter of you do want to spend it on that. But also, anyway, this is something we've complained about on the show for years now, but especially in the last year. It's just that this is untenable. This is not how sports is supposed to work. If you have a contract with a school, if you've been recruited by a school, if you're on the campus, you're on the campus. Like, you can't. It's crazy. But who are we blaming? Are we blaming him? Because all he did was take the next tiny step on this timeline of what is pure crap, but he just took a tiny little step on it. It's all the steps before him, from NIL becoming pay for play, for presidents and ADs and coaches allowing this, for coaches getting paid $10 or $12 million a year, for assistant coaches getting $2 or $3 million a year. Like, everybody's getting paid. Everybody's been greedy. To an exorbitant amount, everybody's been greedy. And including, again, universities that are making you have to pay to have the right to buy season tickets. A one-time fee to pay for the opportunity to buy season tickets, not even buying season tickets. Nico is far from the villain in this. These villains have stacked up for the last 10 or 15 years and have really stacked up for the last 5. This is just it's just not a sport right now. This is not how a sport can be run. Because there is nothing that's keeping Kevin Sperry from transferring tomorrow. There's nothing that's keeping Castellanos from playing against Alabama, deciding, I don't want to do this. I'm going to go back in the portal, and I'll reemerge somewhere next spring. Like, there's nothing that holds these people in place. And I don't know what you can do about it other than what we hope is done. You make them employees. You need to quit screwing around with it, and they need to sign contracts that are binding. And that's just the way of the world, man. That's just the way of the world. I don't care if you do it for college basketball or college baseball or any other sport. It is not that big a problem in those sports. This sport is a billion-dollar industry that is run like a rec league draft. It's preposterous. And so I hope – oh, no, we froze them. No, they carpool together, so they have to be on the same team. Well, that doesn't seem – yeah, trust me. Like, this is preposterous. And this is just one. This is another step on the timeline. But all the bigger steps happened years and months and years ago. So I hope that if and when, we'll see about the House settlement, Aslan. Yeah. That might right the ship a little. But transferring nonstop is preposterous. Yep. It needs to stop. And you need to do the same thing with coaches. Limit them all. I don't care. Limit them all. I bring this up all the time. There are lawyers listening to this. There are agents listening to this. There are radio show hosts listening to this that have non-compete clauses where they'll sign a contract that says, I am with you, and if I leave, if I get fired or I quit, I can't work for somebody else for a year or 2 years or 6 months. Do that. Somebody take the reins of this stupid sport. And so I hope maybe this is the tipping point where there is some collusion. And all these universities fight back, finally, although the genie's well out of the bottle and it's into a lot of other bottles. But that somebody fights back and there's collusion and they say no. Not only did Tennessee say no, but so did USC, Texas, Ohio State, Michigan, Florida State. They don't want you either because this is too much. And if this kid gets a $4 million deal to go be the quarterback at SMU or Houston or USC, what's that going to do? Where's Jeremiah Smith going to be? Jeremiah Smith can hold out. And trust me, Florida State, you need to make him hold out. You need to make him think twice about going back to Columbus, Ohio. I mean, what are you doing? But you know what I'm saying? There's nothing that ties Jeremiah Smith to Columbus. Yeah. He can hold out. And is he worth it? Probably, because he's awesome and he plays in the second most popular sports league in this country. So anyway, this is the hopefully one of the last straws that gets this sport to really figure out a way to make it a competently run, I don't know, man, reasonable, fair marketplace and just a fair institution, just like NCAA football, college football. Make it fair. This is preposterous what's going on right now. It's also preposterous that Mike Norvell was getting paid handsomely, had a really good year, and then bilked that into $4 million. What did he bilk that in for? $30 extra million? 40?
Yeah.
He was willing to leave. He had a contract too, and he was willing to leave last December or middle of last January. He was. I don't know if he. I guess I don't know for a fact that he was willing to leave, but
people were nervous. Important people at the university were very nervous. And
Kalen DeBoer had a contract at Washington, and he bounced because he went to a place where he thought he deserved to be, and where they're willing to pay him more. Just like Nico is trying to do. I just hope it backfires on him, only because this whole sport needs a reset. This whole way they do things needs a reset.
I almost hesitate to bring this up, but I'm sure there's at least two people listening to the show maybe that are like yelling about it, is the fact that Florida State kind of seemingly found themselves in that position coming out of the 23 season with a couple players maybe were, flirting with some other programs or trying to enter the transfer portal, and then most of them ended up getting everything settled and then returning to the school and then maybe not performing nearly as well as everybody had anticipated. So, that's something that you probably open yourself up to. I wanted to read this quote from, and I'm sorry it's from Mario Cristobal, but I mean, it seems pretty relevant. He says that we're not going to do that at Miami, and that was having holdouts. And I can say that without hesitation. If anyone is thinking that, they can be the best player in the world. If they want to play holdout, they might as well play get out. Don't want to do that. Don't want Miami to become that. Too many guys have sweat, bled, and laid it on the line on that field to ever become that kind of program.
Okay.
So I want to kind of say amen. I wonder what Mike would say if he was asked about this.
Well, we could ask him on Tuesday, because it's still a very relevant conversation, and it's something they got to deal with. It's something they deal with in the NFL too, but it's also like people do outplay their contracts. Like, I don't know. Let's say
can we be on the arbitration board, Corey? Can we right now? Whoever is going to be the czar of football, Aslan Hajavandi, on behalf of Corey Scott Clark, we nominate ourselves to become part of the arbitration board. So these guys can come meet with us every single, January. We'll go over what they got paid last year and what they deserve to get this upcoming season. I will do that for the world. I'll do that for the college football world.
I would just prefer it if the boosters cheated like the good old days. And this was all under the table. We didn't know any of these numbers, because I can promise you, we all hear the stories about Emmitt Smith going and just turning on a faucet and getting paid, and getting a free car every year, like all the great players back in the 80s and 90s probably did. But that wasn't $4 million. But also, man, so if Kevin Sperry, I don't know what you pay a true freshman quarterback who's not probably going to play for you this year. I don't know what the going rate is for that, especially a kid that's a borderline 4-star, 3-star kid from Texas. It wasn't Arch Manning coming out of high school. So let's say he gets, I don't even know that, this is absolute a guess, $50,000 to be your third-string quarterback. Well, let's say he wins the backup quarterback role. And let's say Castellanos breaks his ankle against Alabama. And Kevin Sperry comes in and is the ACC Freshman of the Year. He beats Alabama. He then goes and wins 5 of the next 6 games. He's in the running for ACC Player of the Year. and he's making $50,000. Meanwhile, the guy that he replaced is making 10 times that, 20 times that. You can understand where he might be like, hey, let's renegotiate. But what doesn't need to happen is holding out and letting down an entire team if you don't get your way, but you also need to take care of those people. You have to take care of the people that outplay their contracts or outplay what they're being paid. It's all done so secretively, Aslan. Yeah. There is no salary cap. We have no idea what they're spending. I don't know that players have any idea what the guy next to them is making or the starter's making. They might ask. I hope they don't tell. But I just, man, I don't know how any of it works. Really, I have an idea, but I don't know the ins and outs of like how would Kevin Sperry know what Castellanos is being paid? How would LaWayne McCoy know what Deuce Robinson is getting paid? Is there a booklet? Is there a brochure they get to see what each kid's getting and be like, okay, are there incentives? All that is just it's so in the dark and in the shadows, and yet it's huge money that it's not $50 handshakes. It's $500,000 handshakes, and nobody knows who's getting paid. It's just all stupid.
Well, that's the problem. It's not in the dark. It's in the shadows. We see a little bit of it.
Yes,
we
correct.
know that Iamaleava was making like 2 to 2.5, and apparently he wants double that. It'd be one thing like we had no idea how much he was making because maybe he's only making $60,000 and he wants $100,000. He just wants something fair. And then it's like, no, we know the numbers on this, which is what makes it so absolutely bizarre.
The dumbest thing by far is the NIL coupled with the unlimited transfers.
Yes.
So literally, like Travis Hunter, he could have come back for his senior year and demanded $12 million. Somebody would have paid it. Somebody would have paid it to have Travis Hunter on their football team for $12 million a year, which I think is more than he would have made as a rookie with the Giants or whoever's going to draft him. That's and he could just go. He's just a free agent. It's just like Castellanos is here. So it's like, Florida State gets him too. Like Western Kentucky fans might be listening to this going like, well, we like the McCray kid. And you just came and bought him from us. But there was also, like, he wasn't just swinging wildly from one ACC school to another or one powerhouse to another. He was going from Western Kentucky.
And he's from Florida.
Right.
He's from Jacksonville.
But that's one example. But I'm like, they're trading up, not just trading for more money necessarily. The money helps, but they're also coming because it's a higher level of football, theoretically. I'm sure Western Kentucky would have beaten Florida State last year too. But it's theoretically a higher level of football. This is just straight up. You're at Tennessee. That's a powerhouse. You were in the playoff.
Yeah.
You're in the flipping playoff. And then you want more money and you're just bouncing because you deserve more than $2.5 million. Yeah. I get it. I'm pragmatic about it. I'm rational. I've thought forever that players needed to get some compensation when the coaches were getting paid what they're getting paid, and the ADs and assistant ADs and assistants to the assistant ADs were all making hundreds of thousands of dollars in college athletics, and the football players were making books and scholarship money. But this has swung so far in the dumbest direction that it's hard to really, it's hard to not enjoy the sport, but enjoy it as much as you did.
Amen. Man.
But what do I know? I'm an old man.
Apparently, according to this Sportico article I'm looking at, 10 players that were drafted in the first round last year, they had a signing bonus in excess of $12 million.
Okay. So, yeah, he'd be around that. Around that. But, yeah, he might as well go pro. He gets to that second contract quicker. But still, maybe I should have said after his sophomore year. After his sophomore year at Colorado, Travis Hunter could have gone anywhere and made what he would have made as an NFL draft pick for 1 year. He might have already at Colorado. He was in a lot of commercials, so he might have pocketed a lot of money anyway.
Speaking of pocket, how about Corner Pocket? CPTallybar.com, 2475 Appalachia Parkway, the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Daily lunch specials Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Your entree also comes with a side dish of your choice. All side dishes off the chain, as the kids used to say in my day. Don't forget the Corey wrap also available. Come on out Thursday, lunchtime. Enjoy the lunch special, and also maybe rub elbows with Jeff Cameron, Irish O'Fell, Tom Lang, Corey Clark, myself, Gene Williams. Should put him at the top of the bill. Sorry, Gene. Love you. We'll be hanging out there after the Jeff Cameron annual golf tournament. Bingo going down Thursday night as well. Tuesday night, trivia night. Corey, you going to be dabbling in trivia on Tuesday? Or are you going to be defending it up there in the A?
Oh no, I'll be down in time for trivia. I'll be a little late because we have football, I assume, and 6:15, actually 7 o'clock interviews with Mike Norvell and a few select players. But yeah, I'll be at trivia at some point.
All right. Go hang out with Corey. I'll be there Thursday as well. Come hang out, everybody. Even if we're not there, always a great time at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. We're back. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. I went noodling around Dick Hauser Stadium the other day looking for the panic button. Wasn't going to hit it, Corey. I just wanted to locate where the panic button was. And then Link Jarrett opened the door behind me. I was like, hey, man, get out of here. Noles go up to Blacksburg. Soggy Friday, pushes a doubleheader on Saturday, and then a finale on Sunday. Again, they flew from Tallahassee to Atlanta to Roanoke, and then bust to Blacksburg. Got rained out Friday. Had to play a doubleheader on Saturday, and they swept the Hokies. Maybe not the greatest record, but still a very solid program. They win Game 1 3-1. Joey Vellini goes 7 innings. Game 2 sounds like they blew them out, but the final score really not indicative of just kind of how nip and tuck it was for a long time. 12-1, Jamie Arnold goes 7 innings in that one as well. And then Game 3, 4-2 victory. Wes, I don't know why I always want to call him like Sam Mendes, but that's the film director.
That's the director, yeah.
Wes Mendez goes 5 2/3 in the victory for Florida State. Just a really solid overall picture here, Corey, just in terms of they only had, I think, 1 RBI in Game 1. The other 2 runs were scored, on bases loaded, hit by pitches, and all sorts of crazy things. And they're kind of hanging on for life in a lot of in Game 1 and Game 3. Joe Charles comes on and throws 2 scoreless innings. Found himself in a little bit of a jam in the 9th inning. I think he had back-to-back hits with 1 out. There was a 1-out walk he issued in the 8th inning as well, but that got wiped out by a 6-4-3. So I just like the overall kind of the way this series played out because they found themselves in tough spots in Game 1 and then in Game 3, and the bullpen actually comes and delivers. And because, again, listen, they're not out the woods yet in terms of what you're concerned about from the bullpen, but you like what you got out of Joe Charles, Payne Prescott. And I know John Abraham was not in any kind of high-leverage situation because the lead started ballooning once Jamie Arnold came off the bump on in Game 2. But, again, just to kind of have themselves backed up against it, no really big crooked innings in those games, but just to find a way to stay solid defensively, get some timely hits, and for the bullpen to finish off some really good starting pitching efforts from Vellini and Jamie Arnold. Really great bounce back after losing their first series of the season. They're 28-7, everybody. So, yeah, what was I panicked about?
Yeah, and I think what's kind of interesting about it is that I was just looking it up. So, in Game 1, they were 1 of 11 with runners in scoring position. In Game 3, the one on Sunday, they were 0 for 8. So those 2 games, they were 1 for 19 with runners in scoring position, and they won them both. This is kind of the more of the model of how I thought this team would win, because the pitching was very, very good. Now, it wasn't dominant. Like, Vellini didn't strike out the world. He had 5 Ks and 4 walks, but he kept them off balance. But they won the series with pitching and defense, which is kind of what we thought they would do, right?
Going into this season, that was the storyline for this team. That was pitching and defense.
And so the other thing they did, and I wrote about this afterwards, they used 6 pitchers for the whole series. Each game was starter, reliever, game over. Starter, reliever, game over. Starter, reliever, game over. So it was, I think it was Vellini and Charles.
Yep.
It was Arnold and Abraham, and then it was Mendez and Prescott. And that was a wrap. Arnold was by far the most dominant of the 6, which is how it's supposed to be, right? Like, he's the best pitcher in the country, supposedly, or close to it. So that's good. But the guys mostly threw strikes. They gave up. Virginia Tech came into the series averaging 8 runs a game, 8.2 runs a game. They scored 4 total. But Florida State's pitching and defense and enough timely hitting was the key to getting that done, was the key to sweeping that series. And, yeah, we can say it was foolish looking back to hit a panic button, to be worried that much about that.
I didn't hit it. I just want to go find it, Corey. I wasn't going to hit it. I just want to see where it was just in case.
But that was insanity what happened against Wake.
Yeah.
That was absurd. The bullpen was horrendous. They gave up 29 runs in 2 games, and neither one of them even made it the full 9 innings. So what's really cool is the next game they lost to Florida, but that game could have gone either way. The bullpen was good. They gave up 1 3-run homer, and that was the difference. But overall, it was a good outing from the bullpen. That game, especially considered what they were doing over the weekend before. And then they go to Blacksburg, a top 25 team now, a team that swept Wake. And don't dominate them because 2 of the games were 2-run games, but dominate their bats. And dominate them with defense, pitching, throwing strikes. And, if Bellini and Arnold can give you 7 each, and Mendez is Mendez. Mendez is always going to be 5-ish innings, even if he's pitching well. He's just not very efficient. But then you shorten the bullpen. You get to use your best arms, and I think Charles, Abraham, I guess Prescott are your best arms that you feel the most comfortable with. That's a nice recipe to have. And then I think in Game 2 they hit 4 or 5 home runs. And Lodis hit one.
Fisher,
Max hit one.
Iamaleava and Farrow were the home run hitters in Game 2.
And then there was a moment. So what was cool about the game on Sunday was that they had I just said, were they 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position, but Chase Williams comes up with the bases loaded after Kyle Fisher just struck out meekly. I mean, you need to put the ball in play there, and he didn't. There's 1 out. Chase Williams, who hasn't played a lot of baseball the last month, good at bat, gets ahead 3-1 against a very good pitcher, by the way, and sends a medium-depth fly ball to center field to get the job done. The next time Chase Williams comes up, he hits a triple to score a run, and then Iamaleava comes up and, again, just puts the ball in play.
Yep.
First or second pitch, medium-depth fly ball to center field. There's no way they're throwing out Chase Williams. No outfielder in the country is going to throw out Chase Williams from that distance. And it's another ABC run, which is just what you have to do when you're not going to score 15 runs a game. You might not have the best offense in the country. You have a few people slumping. That was really good to see. They used their speed to score some runs. And then they also use the pitching and defense, which I think is the key the rest of the year. So it was good. That's their best weekend of the year, I think.
Absolutely. Yes, for sure. Yeah, and again, I think John Abraham's a guy I was expecting a lot out of. And again, he wasn't in a very high leverage situation. I think the game was 6-1 by the time he came in. So it wasn't totally far ahead, but far enough to where he wasn't put in the sort of situation that Joe Charles and Peyton Prescott was. I mean, I think Prescott came in the 6th. With 2 outs, on a matchup, they wanted to go righty lefty, and then that's why they took out Mendez and put Prescott in there, and then Virginia Tech puts in a pinch hitter, and then he gets out of that inning and then cruises the rest of the way. But yeah, if they just need at least 2. They need to get back to what they had last year. Was somebody needs to become kind of that Connor Whitaker stabilizing force, and then have a lefty arm that was kind of along the lines of Brendan Oxford. Was hoping they could get more of that, have more options. So they wouldn't have to just be stuck with those 2 guys, but maybe that was asking for too much, Corey, because of those 3 guys, Joe Charles, John Abraham, and Peyton Prescott, 2 of them can emerge as you get into later April and you get into May. And then, again, if Volini and Jamie Arnold are going to be that, Mendez becomes maybe a long reliever when you find yourself in a regional situation. You feel good about it. I don't know if that's looking too far ahead, but that's kind of what I took away, at least pitching-wise.
Yeah, agreed. It's just odd that their 3 starters are lefties and their 3 best relievers are righties. That's not how Link draws it up, I promise. He wants a little more versatility, probably on the mound completely. He doesn't have a lefty that he trusts yet out of the bullpen, I don't think. And obviously there's no righty that's going to be a starter instead of these 3 guys. So this is kind of what they are. Evan Kress getting hurt, yeah, big deal. But I wasn't saying big deal sarcastically. That is a big deal. But every team has injuries. Every team has guys that they were counting on that aren't playing right now. It was just overall the response of getting embarrassed, man. Again, I talked about it last week, that Monday show. That was an embarrassing effort. That was embarrassing. Getting run-rolled twice in your home backyard by a good, not great team, just kind of capitulating, not throwing – it was just – all around was embarrassing. And then you wondered, okay, how is this team – what is its mindset? What is its makeup? Can it respond? And, yeah, it did. I know it lost a heartbreaker against Florida, but then it comes back and wins the 3 games that matter most, which are the ACC games. I think they're either in first or second place right now in the ACC. And again, they had taken series at Miami and at Notre Dame. Not the great greatest shakes in the world. They beat Boston College. Going and winning at Virginia Tech, all 3 games, allowing 4 runs in 3 games to one of the top 50 offenses in the country, top 50 out of like 340. That's really well done. That's just really well done and good for them. And it's, again, they made every play that had to be made in the field because they weren't striking out the world, and they scored. They took advantage of enough opportunities to score enough runs to win. And what makes you feel even better, I think, is their offense still didn't find it this weekend. That was not a great effort. I mean, they scored 3 in one game and 4 in another. That's not so. There's still a lot of room to improve there. A little more timely hitting. I liked it on Sunday. They put the ball in play more. They got a little unlucky, because they did put the ball in play more than they had been. So just keep building on that. I thought Bailey had a good day on Sunday. Only had 1 hit, but it was a double that ended up helping score a run. He also flew out to the track. He put the ball in play with 2 strikes. It's just unlucky that he hit it right at someone. Like, all in all, man, it's a really good series, and it's a series that a mature, confident, talented team has on the road. Yeah. And so, yeah, good for them. It's a really good answer. And baseball's so stupid. It's just such a stupid sport.
Yeah, there was some good stuff from Link on Thursday before going into that series where he said, I try to find when to really push the button and be very demanding and tough, and then I also recognize when they don't need that. Yeah. I think controlling the atmosphere of what I feel and what I see is important. Again, this is a guy just has such a good feel, not only for the game, but I think obviously that locker room, that clubhouse. And he talks about our guys are fine mentally. That's been a tough stretch. I have not seen any out of the ordinary frustration with the group because I just think he's able to bring that level of leadership and trust in the way he communicates with these guys. That's why I did not press the panic button, and you feel just so good about where they're at because just the way that Link coaches these guys. You mentioned Chase Williams a little bit earlier, Corey, and we talked about him towards the end of last week, and he was going to be made available, and Link talked about how excited he would be for his return. Things he went 1 for 4 in Game 1. Game 2, he had 2 singles and a stolen base. Although I don't know if he was able to get knocked home on the stolen base situation. But then he hits that RBI triple in Game 3. I think, they've got all these options now with him and Brody in left field, and then what they want to do with, Carnes as a DH or Smalley as one of the DHs, or who's going to play catcher between those 2 guys. Jackson West obviously on the mend. So this offense also has some upside left in it. They can kind of scratch some of this stuff across a little bit better, especially with a guy like Chase Williams.
Chase Williams, when you talk about, and he wasn't batting 9th on Sunday. I think he batted 6th, which is good for them because they ended up winning the game for him. His at-bats, his last 2 at-bats. But he also slapped a single to left with 2 strikes. I like the approach. He's cocky in the batter's box, which I love to see that. But having him and Harrelson, I mean, you're talking about 2 of the fastest players in the conference. Chase Williams, Brady tells me this all the time, that according to Perfect Game, he was the fastest player in the country. Or one of them. I think he said he had the fastest 60 time in the country, or one of them, coming out of high school. So you were talking about elite speed and elite athleticism. And so Iamaleava, again, I think he had a home run. He's been a nice find then for them this year, and I think there will be some platooning there. But I think that especially if Jackson West gets healthy, Iamaleava will be maybe platooning more with Jackson West than Chase Williams. I think there is a chance because Chase Williams is a switch hitter, and he's one of the fastest players in the country, so he's automatically going to help you defensively, I think. That this is a guy that we never really got to see. And this weekend showcased kind of against a real team now. This wasn't Georgetown. What he could possibly be and how dynamic he could be for this offense because he was right in the middle of 3 of their runs. He sac-flied someone home. He drove in another person home with a triple and then scored on a sac fly. So those are 3 of the 4 runs were directly related to Chase Williams. That's a 3rd game back in a month. So that's an exciting piece. I'm not saying he's the next Ricky Henderson or Mike Trout to use both races. Not just compare him to a black outfielder.
That's what people listen to.
But that's a really positive sign that he had a weekend like that.
So Florida State takes on USF midweek, and then they're hosting Virginia for another Thursday, Friday, Saturday series, Corey.
Yeah, that's good. Thursday, right after the golf tournament, by the way. We get Norvell. We have to deal with Norvell and a baseball game after Lord knows what's going to be happening on that golf course earlier in the day.
Better pack some liquid IVs in them golf bags, boy.
Exactly right. Hey, before we go, though, mention the softball team. They had a really
good
good
weekend.
weekend.
About softball. They finished out their West Coast trip 4-0 after they beat St. Mary's in the midweek. They took down Cal 8-1 in Game 1. Michaela Edenfield hit her 51st career home run. In Game 2, they won 11-3. 3 different people hitting home runs. Jasoni Beecham had a 3-run jack. And then in Game 3, the Bears couldn't take it any longer. 16-3 run rule victory that ended in 5 innings. Florida State softball currently 40-6. They're 14-1 in the ACC, Corey. And I think explain this to me. So I saw the tweet that they clinched their spot in the ACC championship.
I don't know.
What's
I don't know what that
about?
means. I thought it meant just like they clinched that they'd be invited to the tournament.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah. I'm like,
I don't think it's like
the championship game. Like, are we not
I
playing
don't.
the
That'd be
tournament
awesome
anymore?
if you win the conference, you automatically get to the championship game.
Yeah.
That would be cool. But I don't know that that's a thing. Yeah, man. I think the story is the pitching. The pitching still is still good. Like it's not going anywhere. It's so much better than it was last year. You have a real chance to make some noise because of this offense, and this offense is. We don't talk about her enough. Well, quite frankly, earlier in the year she didn't deserve to be talked about. But Janai Kerr is out of control. Like that, she had 3 more hits on Sunday, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs. I think she had 10 RBIs on the weekend, 3 home runs. I think she might have been ACC Player of the Week last week, and she might repeat. And so she's now batting second or third, depending on where Lonnie puts her. She moved Beecham down to the lineup because Beecham has been struggling by her lofty standards. And Beecham hit a monster home run on Saturday, had another double on Sunday, so she's coming around. Edenfield, obviously there's Kennedy Harp. Issa Torres continues to have 2 or 3 hits every game. Katie Dack, I think, leads the team in home runs. And then Ashton Danley, who's one of their main pitchers and a good one, hit her first 2 career home runs. Remember, she came in as the biggest signee of that class that had Torres, Beecham, and Harp in it. Ashton Danley was the star of that class because she was not only an elite pitcher but an elite hitter. Well, she's starting to maybe turn into that elite hitter you were hoping to see. Angelique Bueno, it just up and down the lineup, man. She's got her. And again, I know they're playing Cal. It's not Oklahoma, who by the way lost to Alabama on Sunday. Everyone,
what?
So they can lose. They can lose. They are human.
Patty
They do
Gasso
bleed.
washed?
Yeah.
Mark?
So really cool. They've won 14 out of 15 or whatever it is. And, the one loss was to Virginia. I think they've won like 19 of 20 overall. So a great – it was not a bad year, but it was a weird year last year. It was not a typical Florida State year. They got run-ruled a game or 2, I think. They gave up. They were middle of the pack or lower than that in ERA. They got hot late to make it to a super regional, but they weren't even the favorite going into the ACC championship, the conference tournament. They didn't win it. Duke did. But for them, that offense has so much just firepower that there's like 5 different players, 5 or 6 really, that could carry you to a win by themselves almost. So that's really cool that they did what they did.
Well said, Corey.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Per usual. That's a wrap for us. We might have some booster tour.
Speaking of a wrap,
information.
Brady's at the door. He's locked out, but he's bringing me a wrap.
Ooh.
So can't wait to go get that. It is. He just
Not the
wrapped
Corey
his
wrap, though.
baseball season. It's not a Corey wrap because he's in Atlanta. So Brady did finish with a triple
Nice.
in his last at bat, showing off the Clark wheels that we all know and love. So,
What's his slugging percentage up to now after all those bombs he dropped?
You know,
last week?
I only know this because the great app Game Changer, but his slugging percentage ended up being like 720.
What?
Oh yeah, he led the. I think they had like 17 extra base hits as a team, and he had 8 of them. So yeah, man, he's got some pop. He's got some sneaky pop for a 5'8" kid.
Does
so.
Link Jarrett have his huddle link?
You know what it is? He literally does play. He's on the same program with a phenom sophomore who's not even 16 yet, who might be the best player in Gwinnett County. It's ridiculous how good this kid is. I'm going to drop his name to Link and be like, look, if you get in good with Brady Clark, you might have a shot at this other kid. Yeah. Just throwing that out there. Brady can be a bullpen catcher. If it gets you Andrew, so we'll see how that goes.
Wasn't Devontae Freeman the ... other guy at Miami Central?
Behind who?
I don't know, but apparently
Devontae Phillips.
No, they had another highly recruited, highly heralded running back, but apparently Jimbo was like, I like the other guy better. Like, tell me more about him.
Yeah. But they weren't a package deal. Brady's solely
No.
coming to be Andrew's like caddy.
Okay.
Just to be his hype man. That would be the only way he'd get to Florida State.
He'll
Love you,
take over
Brady. Prove me wrong.
He'll take over the McDougal role of just hollering like a banshee in the dugout the whole
crazy
game.
person, yeah.
Awesome. All right. Football practice resumes on Tuesday. They finish up this week Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. We'll obviously have coverage from all of those press conferences and such. I think there's like a booster event happening today later on this evening. We'll see if we can get over there and pull some information to spread over on warchant.com. So check out warchant.com. Also check out our YouTube channel, Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 4 o'clock. Hit the thumbs up on the way out. He's Corey Maslin. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com.